Am I audible? Can you see my screen? Good evening and welcome to day 5 of our C programming 1 week bootcamp. Am I audible? Can you see my screen properly? I need response from the users so that I can continue the session. Yes, are we in live? Good evening. I hope I'm audible. Good evening, guys. Yeah, participants. Yeah, good evening. Thank you for the confirmation. Good evening and welcome to day 5. And can you guys just recap of what we have seen in the previous session? What we have seen in the previous session? Post down the answers, guys. What all topics we have seen in the previous session, right? And in this session, we will be starting with functions. So where we have left in the yesterday's session, we will be continuing with that. Okay. So we will be having about functions. I hope yesterday we have seen a lot of topics like conditional statements, switch case, okay, and other answers for some questions. So yeah, before continuing, we have seen also operators. We have seen two types of operators yesterday: comparison operators, and then we have seen about logical operators, right? And in this particular session, we will be starting with functions. So different types of functions we will be covering. And yeah, is it clear? Yesterday I have given one assignment for you guys. Have you guys tried to find some answers for it? Yes. Have you guys tried to find some answers for those assignments? Can I get some response on building a calculator, right? I hope so. So the assignment I have given was to write a calculator program using either if condition or switch case. Both are fine. I have given you guys. Have anyone tried it? Can I get some response? Have anyone tried this? So I'll be writing answers for it now. So starting with that, and let me start with yeah, I think int main and all it's going to be same, right? So let me start with int x, y and result. Both are integers. Both all these things you could write it in the same line, no issue. Okay, and we need to get a character that is going to be an operator from the user. Okay, and then going into that, we need to start with getting input from the user. So that is printf. Okay, we'll start with enter the first number. If anyone done answers for this, you could post down that in chat box. I'll be very happy to review that code. Okay, if it's possible, if you guys just post down a glimpse of it in the chat box. Have you ever tried it? Did you got some answers? So I'm going to get input from the user, that is d, and I'm going to store it in the variable x. So I need to mention this is scanf. So ampersand x will store that values in x, and I'm going with printf. Enter the second number. Okay. So the second number I'll be getting it from the user, and scanf. So this is going to be integer once again. Okay, and ampersand b will help you to get the store the result in the variable. Sorry, it's not b, it's going to be y. Okay, now I got x and y values. Okay, so now comes the part where you want to ask the user to enter which type of operation he is going to perform. So that will comes from printf. Enter the operation, and I'll specifically mention that either plus or subtraction or multiplication or division, okay, from the user, so that he doesn't enter anything else. Okay, and after printing that, I'll get from the user using scanf. This is going to be a character, so you know that it's C. Okay, that's the operator, and then format specifier, and then I want to pass the location, memory location of variable operator using ampersand symbol. So this will help me to get all the values inside my code. Now comes the question, you want to perform that operation and give you the result. So you can go with the conditional statement based on the operator and the result, return the result, or else simply what you could do is you could use a switch case. Okay, so when you use switch case, you need to perform on which one. So based on the operator, I am going to write some cases here. So the first case, okay, the case 1 is going to be okay, it's going to be plus if the operation or if the task asked is plus. Okay, I'll just go with return, and return will help you to give the value. Sorry, it's not return. I'll go with result equal to. We know that we have a variable which is called as result, which is an integer. Just give it x plus y. That is possible. Okay, and then what's the next case you are going to write? Okay, so in case 2, I'll have. I don't know why we are getting error. Yeah, we are missing this colon here. Fine. So the case minus, in that you have result, and if you guys remember, when you go for this switch case, you have to mention break. If you guys remember, yesterday we have seen, right? So the break is a mandatory thing, otherwise you will be getting the remaining results also. Why there is no response in chat box? Am I even on live? Can you guys post some answers? That are you guys following this or not? Have anyone tried this to get some answers for this? So it is going to be this multiplication, right? Multiplied by y and break. And finally, I need to go with the next one, which is going to be case division. So in such case, just result equal to, we need to pass division result, x divided by y, and then break. And finally, if something else is written, I'll go with the default. Okay, and in this default case, I'll go with printf. I'll tell the user that this is an error. I'll just pass that detail to him. Okay, that's not available, or this operator, this is not an invalid, or something like invalid operator can be entered to the user. Yeah, so once we got that, that's it. I hope that will be fine. And after that, I should go with we are doing the operation, but we need to print the result, right? So print f. Okay, so you know that answer, and it's going to be an integer, so format specifier is d, and I'll pass the result variable here so that the result will be printed to the user. And I need to add a break statement here. I forgot that. I'll add it. Fine. So these are all the things which we have. So we'll check it whether it's working fine or not. We'll check with running it. So it should ask me that enter the first answer. Sorry, I need to change this into first number. It's not answer, it's number, right? So I'll run this and I'll be getting first number, I'll enter 3, second number, I'll enter 4. So what operation? Okay, it seems like there is some issues here. We are missing something. Can you guys find this? Modulus C, that is fine, but it's okay. I think I have pressed it for 2 times, 4, 6. Okay, it is not scanning this character. Operator as character. Fine, we'll check it. This is D, this is storing that, this is the operator, that's fine. And scanf. Save it and run it once again. Modulus X, Y, operator, result, those are fine. 3, 5. Enter the operation. When it comes to this part, it is actually terminating out. Yeah, now it's fine. We'll ask for the operation for the user to enter. So we'll go with addition plus, and the answer is 9. That's good, it's looking good. Okay, then going with first number here I want to add the colon and a space. The first number is 3, the next number is 10, just give me the multiplication answer 30. It works fine, right? So that's how you can build a calculator program with switch case. I hope it's understandable, clear about this. If it's clear, I should shift into the next part, which is going to be our functions. Are you guys ready to start with functions? Can we start with functions, guys? Post down yes or no in chat box. Can we start with functions? So we have something called as functions. Can we start with functions? Are you guys ready? Can I get some response in chat box? Why is it so silent? I need response to continue the session. Otherwise, I'll be waiting for you guys. Yes. So starting with functions. So what is a function? Function we have already used. We have used the main function, right? But these are other things. So a function is a block of code. We know that we can write a main function which will be when the program starts. That's the beginning point or the entry point. If you guys remember, the main function is the entry point, right? So we have functions. Apart from main function, you could create multiple functions. So what is a function? A function is a block of code which only runs when it is called. Ignoring the main function, when your main function is C, runs at the beginning when you run your code. Apart from that, you could create multiple functions which perform some similar task. So they have some block of code inside of them, and what happens is you could have it, and when you want to execute that same thing in repetitive times for multiple times, you could call whenever it is required, and when it's called in particular line where you are calling, it will be executing the block of code which has inside the function. So we'll be writing it away from or outside of main function and then calling it inside. So functions are used to perform certain actions, and they are important for reusing code. So define the code once and use it many times. So what is that? We'll see fully hands-on about functions. So I'll be starting with functions now. So let me write a function. We know that this is our main function, right? So in this main function, I am not going to write anything. So before this main function, and see that talking about functions, it is going to be similar to a main function. Okay, it looks similar to a main function, and the reason behind it, you need to mention which data type they return. For example, we know that this returns 0 to understand that whether the code executed is proper or not, whether it's a success or a failure. And this 0 is an integer. That's why we have mentioned integer here. Okay, you could create integer or particular data type function if they return, for example, this returns an integer. If you want to create a function which returns a float, you have to call, for example, float and then particular function name. Okay, so I'll first create a void function. So what is this void is? It's a void. Okay, it has nothing inside, like they don't return anything. They'll execute the block of code. They don't particularly return anything. Okay, so what happens is I could give a name. For example, let me give a name called as greet. I could give any name and then parenthesis and then curly braces. So now this is a function. What all code you have inside of this greet will be there. It won't be executing. It will be only executed when you call this greet here or anywhere else. Okay, you could call it multiple times. So I could directly call it by mentioning its name. So if I want to get it once again, I should call it once again. So wherever I need, I could just call it. And what is this greet? Okay, so for example, I'll have some sentence inside of it. Printf, hello user, welcome to Pantech. Okay, so this is the message I'm having inside. So instead of this, I could have conditional statement. I could have some operations going on. Everything is fine inside. Like main function, you could perform a lot of tasks. And this is a void function, so that they don't return. They don't need to return anything. If they want to return, you have to mention what they are returning, what data type they are returning here. So now I have greet called 2 times, right? So without calling this, I'll cut this off and I'll run this command. Nothing will be happening. Okay, see here, nothing is happening because nothing. I don't wrote anything. We have printf here, but it won't be executed because it hasn't been called. So what if I call it one time, for example, greet. I'm calling this one time, I'll print this, and I'm getting hello user, welcome to Pantech, because when I'm calling this guy is called, and this statement which we have inside can be executed. For example, I'll have another printf statement. Printf, this is for second user, and then I'll go into executing this greet once again. So now you will understand that how in which hierarchical order it is coming. We know that the program executes line by line. First it will print the greet, then go into this statement printing that, and then print once again greet. So I'll run this. Okay, save it and run it once again. So what I'm getting, sorry guys, we need to add a new line character. So we'll add a new line here. Here also, if we add a new line character, we'll be getting, which is something like this. Hello user, welcome to Pantech. This is for second user, and then hello user, welcome to Pantech, which defines that wherever you are calling, that block of code will be executed. Clear? So this is a void function. And if it's clear, I'll be starting with something known as parameters and argument. So yeah, can we start with parameter and argument? So here, instead of getting this, okay, so what I'm going to do is, in this particular thing, let me call, for example, I'll declare a name here, okay, character name, okay, and the name is going to be Sam. In my main function, I am declaring a name Sam, and integer age, which is going to be 30. Okay, so we have both of this. Okay, so what I am trying to do is, in this greet, instead of particular thing, okay, I want to mention his name itself. So that is going to be modulus string. Okay, so I'll just give the variable name, which is going to be name, right? So we'll be passing the name particularly here. And then we know that hello, welcome to Pantech. We hope that you are percentage or modulus d years old, which is going to be the integer value is passed here. Okay, and I need to get age. Okay, so we have declared the name here, we have declared the age here, we are trying to access in this function. So if I run this, I'll be getting error because these are undeclared, and the reason behind this, anything variable names inside of your function can't be directly accessed by any function outside of it. Okay, so if you want to use these details there, what you have to do is you have to create some spaces for them. For example, it could be A or B, or you could write it like name and age. It's possible. Okay, if you are mentioning these things, you need to mention there what data type you require also. For example, I need character, which is name, or if I want, I could go with A also. That is possible. Okay, and then I need to pass an integer, which is B. So I could give any name here. So whatever name I am giving here, okay, so that should be called inside. That's the reason. For example, so here instead of a name and age, now I have A and B, means this is A and this is going to be B. Okay, so what all things passed in A and B will be now replaced in this A and B, which can be used to print sentence. So now see here, I'll be getting error because it is mandatory to pass some information. So if you have created some parameter here, this is called as parameter, and you need to pass a value for it, and that value is called as argument. So I could pass in the same order I could pass. So instead of that A, I could pass name, and instead of that B, I could pass age. So now the Sam and 30 should be sitting here properly. So let us check whether the greeting is working or not. Okay, see here, hello Sam, welcome to Pantech. We hope that you are 30 years old. Okay, so now I have name 2, another guy. Okay, name 2, and his name is Wilson. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get an age value, which is going to be 24. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the greet statement for the next guy by passing name 2 and age 2. Okay, I'll pass it as age 2, person 2's age. So now if I run this, I am getting result for hello Sam, welcome to Pantech. We hope that you are 30 years old. And hello Wilson, welcome to Pantech, and we hope that you are 24 years old. So for these details specifically tailor made, you could get results. and that's what the idea behind functions is. So you could use this block of repeatable code. Not only this, if you want to write, you can write with a lot of characteristics, you could do it. Clear? If this is clear, I'll tell you with some other features of functions. We need to cover a lot of topics today, so please cooperate, guys. If it is clear, I could clear the screen and go to the next one. Any doubts till now from your side? Any doubts from your side, guys? Is it clear? So now we are going to see about functions which has some data type. Okay, what if I am going to create a function. So let me go with we could go with, yeah, we could start with yeah, so I have a scenario here. I want to create a function which gets two number and multiply them and return a number. Okay, the answer, that's it. So for doing this, what I'm going to do is, I know that the answer I'm getting is integer. So I am going to create an integer function and I'll give a name which is called as add, or we'll go with multiplication since it's a multiplication task. Okay, this is a function, fine. So in multiplication, I need to get two number, one is integer x, another one is integer y. This is variable, sorry, this is parameter. And what I'm going to do is, I'll be returning, okay, using return. Okay, I'll just pass x multiplied by y, and we know that this returns an integer. Okay, this is an integer. If you are returning an integer, then this should be an integer output. And I'm just doing it in a single line. If you want, you could create a new variable, multiply, and then return that result. Fine. Okay, so now if I'm going to call it, I'll go with int a is equal to 3 and int b equal to 5. Okay, and then I'll call multiplication, and I need to pass my a and b value so that the multiplication results will be available for me. Clear? So can we write this? Can we run this? And I'm not getting any output. Can anyone tell me why? What's the reason behind this? I'll show you the entire block of code. Try to find the result or answer for this. I'm running it, I'm performing multiplication and I'm returning the value. Still I'm not getting anything in the output. Can anyone tell me why? Can anyone find the reason for this? Why this happens? We need to add one more line to get the result. Anyone? Can anyone try to find the answer for this? It's very easy, guys. Scanf is not away or near, but scanf is for getting input from the user. I am just directly giving from my variable. What's the need of getting from the user? You want to show the output to the user, which means you have to printf. Okay, I am returning it. So the reason behind this, return won't be printing the result. Print means displaying the output. Return means it will return a value which can be used in somewhere else. Okay, if I want, I could create a new variable integer answer. Okay, and I can store answer equal to, I'll call this function. Okay, and this answer, what it will store it, what this guy is returning, that value will be stored in the answer. So I could go with printf result is modulus d and then answer. So if I try to run this, now only the answer is displayed to the user. See here, 15 is the answer for 3 multiplied by 5. Clear? Clear? You could change this number and this operation. So this is what, so now you can also perform or create a calculator with functions, right? So that's the assignment. Those guys who are following this class and doing the assignments, so I'll ask you guys to try to do the calculator which we have done with functions. Could create multiple functions, so that will help you. Tomorrow we'll be seeing, tomorrow is final day of our class, right? We'll be trying to create a ATM simulator where this will be really helpful for us. Okay, and now I'll tell you a problem which we'll encounter and how to overcome it. Okay, so for example, I know that I'm asking for two parameter x and y, and I'm doing this result. So what if I'm not passing anything here, or I'm passing a alone, okay, not b? So I'll run this. Okay, so 1 minute, guys. So we know that we can't run it without proper details, right? So instead I'll pass answer. So now this gets two variable and then run it. See here, guys, the result I'm getting is 0. Why? Because we are not stored anything, right? And what if I am passing a character c equal to c? I'll just run this. And you can see that it is returning me some garbage value. Okay, can you guys see this? And the reason behind this, it's not checking properly whether it requires or not. Okay, so for example, if you want to initially check it, or if you want, you could have it here in the below. Okay, so we'll run this. Okay, declaration problems and all arising, right? So it's what they are trying to tell us, it's better to go with a function prototype, and that is nothing but you could create integer. You could tell that I am going to create a function which is integer, and it is going to perform, the name of it is multi. Okay, and what I am going to get is, okay, you are just first itself you are declaring. Okay, so you are going to get an integer, okay, which is a, and then integer which is b. Okay, I hope it's a and b, sorry, it's x and y. Okay, first itself you are declaring this, and then you are going to use it later. So this will help you to avoid error. So if the not correct number of parameters are passed, any issues like that will be, first itself will be given as error, the code won't be starting executing. Okay, so it's better to first declare it. So this is called as a function declaration with parameters. Okay, or also called as function prototype. So yeah, so that's all about functions. It's a block of reusable code, and we have seen how to pass parameters and all. If it's clear, I could start with for loops for you guys. Can we start with for loops? Today we'll be seeing about for loop, while loop and do while loop, and if time permits we'll also cover nested for loops and arrays. Mostly array will be for a tomorrow topic. We'll see that. For loop, while loop and arrays, or do while loop. Can we start with for loop? Can I get some response in chat box? Can we start with for loop? So loop means repeating, okay, number of times. So starting with for loop, a for loop is used to repeat a specific block of code a known number of times. So a for loop is for running it for a known number of times. For example, if I want to run it for 10 times, if I want to run this for 20 times, I could calculate and do it. Okay. So in C program, loops are responsible for performing repetitive tasks using a short code block that executes until the condition holds true. So a loop runs, okay, a for loop runs when the condition is true. So we need to pass a condition. Okay, so this is how a loop starts. It will start the initialization. First it will check whether the condition is true or false. If the condition is true, it is going to execute the block of statement, update it, and then go and check the condition. Okay, since still if the condition is true, run it once again. Third time, true, run it once again. Fourth time, false. When it falls, when it reaches false, when the condition becomes false, it will terminate the for loop. Okay, that's the idea behind it. So in C program, if you want to, don't get afraid about this, guys. Just 3 simple things. I'll explain what it is. It is going to be very simple. How you are going to use it, that will be very simple. Okay, so yeah. So first, what we need to do is 1 minute. Let me start with hands-on. This instead of this, we'll go with the hands-on, and let me just remove these unnecessary things from the previous session or previous content we have seen now. Okay, just remove this. We don't need it for now. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to start creating a for loop. So the syntax of for loop is for Okay, near to it you have to pass the parameters for this, and then you have to open a and close a curly brace. Anything inside how many lines you have, that will be executed till the condition is true. Okay, for example, yeah, so the first thing or a first parameter you will be passing here in a for loop is, it is going to be the variable you are going to use as a counter here. So I am going to declare an integer I. Okay, it could be anything. I am going to start it with the value of 1. Okay, so I am going to start the value of I as 1, comma. The next thing you are going to pass is the condition you are going to give, till which condition I want to run it, till I is less than or equal to 10. Okay, till that, or we'll keep it as 5 for now. I less than or equal to 5 in that condition, comma. So the next thing is, every time the loop runs you have to perform some operation for this I. So I'll go with I plus plus. So can anyone tell me what happens now here? We know that I plus plus, what is that? It's an increment operator. It will be incrementing the details, right? Am I correct? And sorry guys, you need to separate it with colon, semicolon. Fine. So first I am declaring I value as 1, and the condition here is it want to repeat till the I value is less than or equal to 5, and this is what this you have in the third part, right? So that will be executed every time the loop runs. This will be executed one time. So the first time loop runs, the I value increases by 1. The second time the I value is 3. Okay, increases to 3, then 4, then 5. When it reaches 5, it knows that now the condition is false, so it just stop the loop and then quit. Okay, what if, for example, I'll printf hello. Okay, so this should be printing hello multiple times. Hello, 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 hello. See here. So I'll add a new line character. You will get a loop. The answer, this is going to be 5 times hello. First time I value 0, 1, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. For what if instead of this hello, I can also write, okay, this is an integer, right? Specify it and then print the value of I. We should be getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The value of I every time the loop runs. So if I decrease it here, if I decrease the value, what happens? It can create an infinite loop also. Okay. You need to mention it properly, otherwise we'll be getting error. Okay. For example, sometimes that can create an infinite loop, which is going to be stop your code maybe, and then you have to terminate and delete the terminal and then restart it once again. Okay, so please be careful in that. So this is how a for loop works. Clear about for loop? So this is a base example. You could create a lot of things with this. You want to execute it multiple times, you could go and execute with this for loop. So this is the property of a for loop. And you have another loop in C program, which is going to be, we have 3 types of loops in C. So next is while loop. Okay, so talking about while loop is different from for loop, guys. And while loop loops through a block of code as long as the condition is true. Okay, so that's the difference between for loop and while loop. So in for loop we will be declaring the conditions and all these details, but in while loop, okay, we will be setting a condition, and if the condition is true, okay, it is going to execute the statement. Only when the condition fails, it is going to stop. So you need to mandatorily create a situation where the condition fails, otherwise it is going to keep on running and there is going to be infinite loop happening. So the while loop loops through a block of code as long as the specified condition is true. The while loop is an entry controlled loop in C program. So what happens is the entry is controlled, which means as a reason behind it. When the while loop starts, first itself it will test whether the condition is true or false. If the condition is false, it is not going to go inside the while loop. Okay. So if the condition is true, then only it is going to go inside the loop, execute the condition, check the condition. If it's true, then continue. If it becomes false, it is just going to come out of it. Okay. So for example, we can have some examples, right? Can we start, guys? Can we start with the example? So I have some examples here. So I'll go and practically implement one thing. So instead of this for loop, so the while loop syntax is create a while. You need to pass a condition here that is going to be checked, and then only if the condition is true, it is going to go and check. Okay, so So if this become false, nothing will be executed inside of it. So let me give a condition. Before that, let me declare some things like details like integer number equal to 0, integer sum equal to 0. So these are the details basically I have, and I'm going to pass when the number is greater than 0. Okay, so it is going to check that situation and then only it is going to go inside. Okay, and then I have a body which is going to be printf enter a number above 0. Okay, so I'll get this and I'll go with scanf from the user. Okay, and this is going to get the detail which is integer ampersand what's the thing which we need to pass, gets the number. Okay, so I'm going to create a condition here if the number is greater than 0. Okay, this is a conditional statement. I hope you guys know, yesterday we have seen. So I'm going to add it with the sum. Okay, so this loop ends only when the number is for example, if number is greater than 0, then add it, otherwise just leave it. Okay, let me try to run this, and we know that it won't be executing because at the beginning itself it is checking the condition, and we know that the number we have given is 0, so that it can't go inside of it. Okay, so yeah, in such situation what you will be doing, you need to either change the condition. Okay, or I'll give you another example for while loop. Before that, 1 minute, help me check. In such situations, first you have to start and then check, right? So in such situations, I'll tell you example for while loop. Before that, okay, we have something known as do while. So what this guy does is, the do while is a variant of the while loop, and this loops first check the condition. Sorry, the while loop checks the condition and execute the program, but do while does the condition once and then check. Okay, and as long as it is true, it will be executing. So it will do the task and then only he is going to check. If it's not true, then at one time it is going to terminate. Okay, so that's do while. And if you want to create a do while, just remove the while and the condition. Okay, create a do and then enter the details. After that, create or paste the while. So what I can do is, instead here I could go with, okay, I can just directly cut this off and enter do here. First do this, and then here I can paste the while. Okay, so first it will get the number and then check. Now it's proper. Okay, so I'll run this, enter a number above 0, 4. So now the sum gets added. Okay, 5, 3, 2. Okay, bigger number, fine. So now I am going to enter a negative number which is less than 0. Okay, enter. Okay, so the number, after that the loop terminates. So if I want to finally know what's the sum, okay, I could do the printf. After doing this only the condition comes out of it. So I'll go with sum is, till that what's the sum? Sum is integer, I'll pass the sum. Okay, since we are adding the sum here, I'll run this. Okay, 2, 3, 1, 5, 6, 0. The condition fails. So what's the total? 17. Till that it will be executing. That is do while. Okay, and for you guys a simple example on while loop also I'll specifically mention. Okay, since we haven't seen the while loop examples, so let me just go with the while loop example. So just remove all these things, and so as we know, while loop is starting only when the condition is true. So I'll go and set a condition while. Okay, I'll declare int I equal to 0, and while I is less than 5, which defines that this condition is true now. So it will be executing, and the condition I'm going to do is printf. Okay, I'll pass I modulus d. I'll print the I value. So if I run this now, it is going to create an infinite loop because you are checking whether the I value is 5 or not. Okay, if I run this, I'll be getting a lot of 0, which is going to be crash this. See here, Can you guys see this? What I am getting, the answer is 0. It is going to print for multiple times and it is going to just crash your system. Okay, so what you need to do is, it is creating an infinite loop, and the reason behind this, I value is not incrementing anywhere. In for loop we have a space for doing it. Here we have to do it manually. So every time the loop runs, I'll just add it with 1. Okay, so now the I value increases so that at one point of time the condition fails, so that the loop ends. Okay, it is still going on. I'll just cut it off with Control C, and then I'll run this, save it and run it again. Okay, so we need to have a new line character. The answer for I is 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, since it starts with 0, less than or equal to 5, you will get till 5. So that's with the while loop and do while loop. I hope it's clear, and if it's clear, we could finally see about nested for loops, and with that we can wind up this session. Can we start with nested for loop? Are you guys there? Can we start with nested for loop? Can I get some response? Or nested loops, you could create multiple loops like this. Can I get some response? Can we start with nested loops? Yes? Are you guys there? After attendance link, we can't find anyone here. Okay, fine. So what is nested loop is? In C, they are powerful programming concept, and that allows developers to implement complex iterations and repetitive tasks with greater efficiency. An inner loop runs repeatedly for each cycle of the outer loop when there is a nested loop. So don't get confused, I'll show you this example. What is this? We know that this is a for loop. So this for loop starts now, and inside of the for loop, in the body, I have another for loop. This is called as nested for loop. And we know that once you go into the for loop, it can come out of the for loop only when the loop ends. So when the first loop is starting executing, it goes into the second for loop. When we go into the second for loop, when this nested loop ends, then only it can come back into the next iteration. So in next iteration, this once again starts and this completes. Okay, so this should be keep on running. So an inner loop can run repeatedly for each cycle of the outer loop. Okay, so if the outer loop is executing one time, this based on this condition, it should execute 10 times, come out. So the entire thing runs 10 times. So totally this inner loop runs 100 times. Okay, that's the idea behind this, and you need to create respective variables for it. So let me create a simple example for you guys. So starting with integer rows. So I'm going to get the row value, integer columns, so the column numbers from the user. So go with printf, enter number of rows. Okay, and then scanf integer, and then store it in ampersand rows. Fine. So printf, enter number of columns. We could have that symbol here also. That will make our code looks great. Scanf modulus d ampersand rows. Sorry, this is columns, right? So once I have these details, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a nested loop, guys. Okay, so starting with that, so let us once we got that, I'm going to create a for loop. Okay, for I in, sorry, I'm start writing in the way of Python. Okay, integer I equal to 1, it starts, okay, colon, and I'm going to go with I when it is less than or equal to the number of rows. Okay, I'm going to increment this with 1. Okay, so inside of that, I'm going to create another for loop. Okay, for here integer j, so it's better to give different names since we are altering the I, right? And then when the value of j is less than or equal to the columns value, okay, then just add with 1. Okay, till that. So this inside of that I'm going to execute a particular thing. So what it is going to print is, here it will print the value of j, print f, okay, modulus d and then value of j. So this is printed, and you can have, for example, if I run this, number of rows is 3, number of columns is 6. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 3 rows and 6 columns. That's what I'm trying to get. So I'll add a new line character, okay, and we'll run this. Number of rows is 4 and number of columns is 2. Okay, this is not good. We need to try something else. So if you add a new line for every number, you will be getting it here. So what I'm going to do is I'll just cut this off, and every time the loop completes, which means one row is printed, I'll go with printf, okay, I'll go with modulus d. Sorry, this is going to be just a new line character, right? You can just add a new line character. So every time the row ends, 5 cross 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. Every time this is a column value, right? So the column prints and then comes out of this for loop. It executes the new line character, starts once again printing that, executes the new line character, and so on. And this helps you to get your answer something like this. How much number you mention, you will be getting that. Clear? Is it clear, guys? And instead, if you want to get a character from the user, character symbol, okay, I'll get a character which is called a symbol. And what I'm going to do is I'll get the character from the user. So printf enter character. So whatever the user enters, okay, whatever he may be entering, so I just will be using scanf. This, since it's a character, C ampersand symbol, okay. And after getting that, instead of printing the j, I'm going to print the character which is going to be symbol, okay. So this will be more interesting. So if you run it now, number of rows is 7 and number of columns is 4. Okay, some issues. Enter character. When you go with character, leave a space here, and then the number of rows is 7, number of columns is 4. Enter a character, and the character I'm going to enter is dollar symbol. Got it? 7 rows, 4 columns, dollar symbol. So if you want to have, for example, I want 5 rows, 5 columns, C, like this. Clear? So that's how you can play with the nested loop. So if you want, you could create another for loop inside of this body, or if you can do it with while loop inside of a for loop, that's called nested loops. And tomorrow particularly is going to be the last session. We'll try to have discussion on arrays, 2D arrays, array of strings, and then we'll be also having discussions on a topic which is ATM Simulator. We'll be creating it. So that will wind up our sessions. Thank you. Thanks for watching. We'll see tomorrow's session. Thank you. Okay, talking about lead code problems, I have a count of, I think, not much. I did something around 20, I think so, in lead code. I have a numerous history on HackerRank. I prefer HackerRank personally. So in lead code, I did very few questions. In HackerRank, I have done a lot more. I don't know the exact count. I have tried in different various versions in C, using Python and MySQL questions for data science and all. I'll be having I'll be answering in HackerRank. So I have done that majorly. try hacker rank. That will be good